Right. Hello, citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel once again, and this is going to be another wrestling review. Who, after months of fighting between the WWF and the Alliance, this is it. For all the marbles, for control of the company, one legacy will live on, the other will die. Which one will it be? As winner takes all. Let's find out. Spoiler alert, it's not called WCW ECW Survivor Series, is it? I'm, of course, talking about WWF Survivor Series from 2001. So, of course, as always, I'm not professional. Great, I already messed up. I am not professional, not professional, not a Jesus, I cannot talk today. I am not professional, not a professional wrestling reviewer, analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time. There we go. Oh, and I had a pretty decent time, I would say, watching the show. There is quite a bit going on, and there's definitely the overall story of the winner takes all aspect, the finality of it all is built throughout the show. So let's get right into it and see who indeed took all. Now, of course, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. You have an idea at least of how this works. However, if you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about each match, going match by match. But even starting from the hype package, it's very much around WF versus the Alliance, and everything that had been going on up to this point. Excuse me, and the whole WF versus Alliance side of things is dialed up to 11 for this show because this is technically the finale. Now, oh yes, it's worth mentioning. Although I am going to review Vengeance 2001, I'm going to review that tomorrow. This technically is the final pay-per-view of the Alliance storyline, and in fact, this is essentially the end of the Alliance/Invasion storyline. So, if you wanted to watch uh, just the invasion on its own, technically you would go from, I would say, a invasion all the way to Survivor Series. But I decided to look at the other stuff, like, and I mentioned this way back when I started doing the reviews for the invasion storyline several months ago. But I mentioned that I would also throw in some of the other kind of pay-per-views surrounding it. So with that being Backlash, Insurrection, Judgment Day, King of the Ring, all because it kind of plants the breadcrumbs up until the Invasion storyline. In fact, Booker T shows up at King of the Ring, but if you want to look at the Alliance storyline, and it's the Alliance/Invasion storyline on its own within the bubble, you would technically watch Invasion through Survivor Series. In fact, I'm thinking, hey, I'm definitely going to do a compilation of all the reviews we've done for the Invasion storyline. So I'm going to throw in Backlash all the way through Vengeance of 2001, but I might do a separate compilation of just the Invasion related stuff. So that being the Invasion pay per view, then SummerSlam, and then Unforgiven, No Mercy, Rebellion, and then Survivor Series. He's now I'm not quite sure if I am going to do that just yet. But uh, uh I am contemplating it. But if you guys do want me to do that, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. But also it's worth mentioning in a very symbolic location where we are. I feel like I haven't talked about the locations enough of where we are in terms of these events. And because this time we're in Greensboro, a venue with a lot of wrestling history, especially within WCW. So, it'll be good. So it's a great, essentially a beautiful hill to die on for WCW/ECW. But admittedly, that was probably a foregone conclusion, and especially up to this point. But let's now get into the show proper. Right off the bat, we did have a six-man tag on Heat as Just Incredible, Landstorm, and Raven of the Alliance defeated Albert, Scotty 2 Hotty, and Spike Dudley. A number of these people would still show up in the immunity battle royal. So great. Hey, I guess essentially pulling double duty. In fact, I think Lance Storm, Raven, just incredible. Spike Dudley, Albert. Uh, well, almost all the people in the match on Heat would wind up in the immediate battle royal, and you'll see what I mean when I get to that. The other thing worth mentioning, for starters, there was supposed to be a title unification match. There's a lot of title unification matches on the show. One of them being that the cruiserweight championship was supposed to be combined with the light heavyweight championship, which is pretty fitting considering the light heavyweight championship essentially was born out of spite of the Cruiserweight Championship in a way because the story goes that WCW had the Cruiserweight division. It was fantastic. So WWE was like, hey, we can do that too. And they proved that they couldn't. They couldn't quite. But X-Pac was injured. So instead of them getting that unification match, the light heavyweight title would slowly kind of just be phased out of existence. So that was the end of the light heavyweight title. Well, so it was supposed to be Tajiri battling X-Pac in Unification, but instead Tajiri will be facing William Regal later on in the show. Now, it's also worth mentioning some of these in some aspects kind of carried over from Rebellion, and I guess that kind of makes sense because Rebellion was kind of more of a house show. And it kind of like it gave the UK fans and something, but it also kind of bridged the gap between No Mercy and Survivor Series here. So some of the matches do repeat on the show, but the other thing is this match was made on Heat, which is the opening match. Now we're actually getting into the pay-per-view card after a glorious 8 minutes of stalling. But now we're getting into the show proper. As for the European Championship, Christian defends, and Christian of the Alliance defends the European Championship against Al Snow. Even though Christian no longer the Intercontinental Champion and the uh, picked up the European Championship along the way. And there it's funny, honey. I don't think I noticed it until I rewatched this show again for the purpose of this review here. There's a sign in the crowd that said, "At Christian's theme song is unlawful" or something like that. Whoever that fan was that brought in that sign, I mean, throw them out immediately because Christian's theme song at this time, it's not just Close Your Eyes, more simply the waterproof blonde version, although the later version by Story of the Year is also really good. I do love both versions. I prefer the waterproof blonde version, as do most people, but both versions are good. But this theme song for Christian also is fantastic. So yeah, that fan is wrong. But also Al Snow, who is the head trainer on Tough Enough, so he comes out to the Tough Enough theme, and I do want to see he was more because Tough Enough season 2 was about to come out, if I'm not mistaken, or was in development, and around this time, if I'm not mistaken. So, but I do wonder, was that the season that Maven won? And I just want to see real quick. Is this that's for the whole thing? I want to see if I can go to season 2. This is season. Um, okay, so Maven won the first season, and so let's see who. Maven and Nydia, I should say, won the first season, and it's crazy how a lot of times the people who really make the big impact on Tough Enough aren't the ones who actually win Tough Enough. I'm trying to see who won Tough Enough 2/season 2. That one. This was a season that had Matt Capitelli, John Hennigan, who would become John Morrison, and Melina did try out for this season. And oh yeah, and John Morrison was the winner. John Morrison and Matt Capitelli were the winners for that season. So good to know. Oh, I've actually never seen Tough Enough, but maybe I should watch it. Maybe I'll review it or talk about it at some point on the channel. Let me know if you guys want to see that. But now that that's out of the way, this match pretty all right. It's a decent little match to kind of start off the crowd and wake the crowd up. I think how they both do pretty well against each other. Christian and I thought at one point was busted open because I saw like red in his hair, but I think that might just be hair dye. So there will be blood on the show. Believe you me, there definitely will be. But he but Christian ultimately he retains the almost at the cruiserweight championship, retains the European championship. So Christian remains the champion of Europe. Also, excuse me, I was going to say this for the main event, but I'll mention it here. Here, Paul Heyman and Jim Ross argue because it's like the final show. This is the winner take all with Jim Ross being the main commentator for the for the WWF, I should say, and then Paul Heyman being the commentator for the Alliance. They argue throughout the entire show. It kind of gets annoying. It's going to go into absolute overdrive by the main event, but it does get kind of annoying. It's funny at times, and their banter was pretty funny throughout the actual invasion storyline for the most part. I still think they make a very good duo, but it got pretty grating on the show. I'm not gonna lie, but next up, William Regal who battles Tajiri. So these two did face off at Rebellion as well. Also, it's carrying over. So this one's technically a rematch. But of course, William Regal turned on the WF, joined the Alliance. Tajiri very upset about it. And beforehand, and I believe it might have been the Raw before or Survivor Series, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been beforehand. William Regal was in a mixed tag. It was Regal and I forget who he was teaming with. Going against Tajiri and Tori Wilson, and William Regal just brutalized Tori Wilson. So Tajiri is also out for blood, and he does get it because William Regal's nose is busted open, and it does look pretty gross. But unfortunately for Tajiri, just like in the UK, he comes up short against William Regal, who beats him this time with a roll up. So I guess props to Regal, but also just like in the UK, more specifically at Rebellion, Regal does attack Tajiri afterwards, and then also attacks Tori Wilson afterwards. She comes out to confront, not confront, but to, like comfort Tajiri, help him out and everything, and Regal attacks her as well. So, bad guy Regal, such a gentleman. But nevertheless, next up, the first unification match for the WCW United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. Edge, who is the U.S. champion, battles Test, who is the Intercontinental champion. Edge, of course, representing the WWF. Test representing the Alliance. And some pre-match stuff beforehand involving both guys. Test is getting oil rubbed on him and says he wants to partay with Stacy Keibler afterward. Or I believe I believe they may have been dating in real life at this point. I know they were dating in real life at one point, and they were like an on-screen couple as well. She was his manager for a bit. Especially after he cut his hair and started referring to his fans as testicles. But Tess is kind of flirting with Stacy Keibler and saying, we're gonna partay after Tess gets the win. And then meanwhile, Edge also he makes fun of Tess' accent and funny that he compares himself to Tess, saying, we're both blonde, we're both Canadian, and we both have very unique first names. Well, that's one way of putting it. But as for this match was pretty alright, for the most part. Right, Edge does manage to get the win over her Test as with another roll up City. He Actually, he Regal performed the Regal bomb, which I believe is like the Tiger bomb, and then Edge gets the roll up on Test. So man, even back then, they were beating people with roll ups. Roll ups was still a devastating finish. And I recognize I made the same joke when I reviewed Rebellion yesterday, but nevertheless, Edge unifies the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. The Intercontinental Championship would go on to so the United States Championship would kind of fade after this. The Intercontinental Championship would continue to be, defended and a championship until Triple H unified the Intercontinental Championship with the, I believe, World Heavyweight Championship. I believe it was the next year in 2002 when well, first of all, when he was back, but also when he defeated Kane. So the Intercontinental Championship was also taken out, but eventually both championships were brought back, and lo and behold, to this day in present day 2025, they're still championships. It's going to be still active championships in WWE. That is. The two main mid card championships. But nevertheless, so Edge unifies the championships here. But next up in a tag team steel cage unification match, this being for the WCW Tag Team Championships and the WWF Tag Team Championships, it's the Dudley Boys, who are accompanied by Stacy Keibler, and who are the WCW Tag Team Champions, and battle the Hardy Boys, who are the WWF Tag Team Champions, and and so, oh, uh, cage match. So a cage match between these two here to unify the championships. Of course, the Dudleys and the Hardys faced off many, many times before, even faced off multiple times throughout this year. But kind of a weird way to start off this match because it starts off with tags. Like even though they're in the cage, they still have to tag in, which I thought was really weird. And they eventually abandoned it. Stacy Keibler manages to kind of do a sexy little dance for Nick Patrick in order to get the keys off of him to open the cage so she can slide in tables after Bubba tells her to bring in tables. Considering Nick Patrick works for the Alliance, though, Stacy probably could have just asked. Yes, Nick Patrick was pushing back a little bit, but I'm sure if she asked nicely enough, I'm sure Nick Patrick probably would have just gave her the key. But that's not worth mentioning. But nevertheless, the tables are brought in, and Matt does escape the cage first. So of course, there's pinfall submission or escape the cage. That's the steel cage rule. So Matt escapes the cage. Jeff goes to escape the cage. He climbs up to escape the cage. Uh, but then he gives in to his daredevil impulses and tries a dive onto, I believe, both the Dudleys, if not just Devon. On on I just want to check here. Yeah, so it was Devon. Devon was on the table. Jeff tried to hit the Swanton bomb when he had the match won. But Devon moved out of the way, so Jeff crashed to the table. Bubba crawls over to pick up the win over the Hardys. So the Dudleys are the unified champions, and it's crazy to think. And well, for starters, very, very fun match, very fun back and forth between both teams. Both teams are definitely able to put on great matches against each other, so I'm definitely not worried about that. And Jeff loses to a Freudian slip, and if you can believe it, and we'll get to this tomorrow, it will directly lead into brother versus brother, Matt versus Jeff at Vengeance. But we will get to that when we get to that. Next up is the Immunity Battle Royal. So, members of the WF and members of the Alliance duke it out. The entrants for the WF, we have Bradshaw, Farouk, Landstorm, Billy Kidman, Diamond Dallas Page. Or actually, I'll just read off who we have in the match. We have Bradshaw, Farouk, Landstorm, Billy Kidman, Diamond Dallas Page, H. Albert, Taz, Perry Saturn, Raven, Chuck Palumbo, Crash Holly, Justin Credible, Sean Stasiak, Steven Richards, Tommy Dreamer, The Hurricane, Spike Dudley, Hugh Morris, Chavo Guerrero, Funaki, Billy Gunn, and Test. Yes, Test is also in this match as well. Oh, so how do you do? Well, Scotty Too Hottie, who was also in the pre-show, he was supposed to be in the Battle Royal. Oh, Tess comes up to him and says, "Hey, are you in the Battle Royal?" And Scotty's like, "Yeah." Well, now you're not. Well, you aren't now. Oh, so Tess pretty much just steals. He pulls a Royal Rumble, well, in a way, on Sky Too Hottie, Royal Rumble 2004, I believe it was, where he was attacked by Kane, or no, no, I'm thinking 2005, where he was attacked by Muhammad Hassan. It was Spike Dudley who was attacked by Kane in 2004, but at the 2004 Royal Rumble, that is. But so Scotty Too Hottie pretty much beaten down by Test, and Test takes his spot in the Immunity Battle Royal. As for everyone else, this match pretty much feels like a match filled with hey, so hey, it's like the match essentially feels like, hey, so we didn't quite have a spot for you guys on the show. Battle Royal, anyone? And pretty much, Diamond Dallas Page is still doing the weird smiling thing and still doing like the poses and everything. But ultimately, the match, not a whole lot sizzle on the steak. It's a battle royal. You probably know what to expect. It's a bunch of guys, a lot of punches and kicks, a lot of people being eliminated. Sean Stasiak is literally the first one out. First one eliminated, and then Test finally at the end eliminates Billy Gunn. So Test wins immunity. So pretty much immunity means despite who wins, whether it be the WWF or the Alliance, and Test will be safe from being fired because essentially the losing side will all be fired. So Test, even though he's Alliance, just in case the WWF wins, and he will remain safe. He will still remain on the roster and everything. But so Test wins the Immunity Battle Royal. Next up, a six-pack challenge for the vacant WF Women's Championship. Trish Stratus, Ivory, Jacqueline, Lita, Mighty Molly, and the debuting Jazz show compete in this match. Yes, Jazz from ECW is brought in, and William Regal said he had a surprise. He had a ace up the sleeve for the Alliance, and Jazz, as of course being in ECW, is brought in for the Alliance, and the crowd goes mild. Oh, there is literally no pop for Jazz, as which is very, very sad. And now, to my knowledge, I don't think I've reviewed a Jazz match on the channel yet. And I think the closest I might have gotten is one of the one night stand reviews, the ECW one night stand reviews. In fact, let me just check to make sure. But that is pretty sad, and that is actually pretty sad to think about. How the people sadly had no idea who she was. As the only people, or the only person I should say, who's freaking out at all and hyping her up at all is Paul Heyman. Like, Paul Heyman is going crazy for Jazz, and also I just checked. Not only was Jazz not at the one night stand pay per views, there were no women's matches on the one night stand pay per views. Joy, but yeah, and I imagine probably because a lot of the women who were in ECW probably left by then, and but you brought in other people for like a one night appearance, but no, nevertheless, the closest that we get to have an actual women's match is when Beulah McGillicuddy and Lita were in the hardcore match at One Night Stand 2006, the hardcore tag team match. But hey, yeah, so no pop for Jazz, as even Jim Ross couldn't put her over. Paul tried his hardest to really put Jazz over. Her sadly just didn't. As for the match, it was all right. Right, for the most part, Trish Stratus picks up the win by pinning Ivory. He not a whole lot going on. I guess this is probably of all the women's matches is that we've looked at for the Invasion storyline. This might be the best. As Jazz still had a pretty decent showing, but it's sad to see the lack of pop for her. But I guess that was just kind of it at the time. That was kind of emblematic of the state of the women's division at the time. And I guess really it's emblematic of the state of the alliance and team WCW, ECW, the invasion, all that. And I think that's very emblematic. I think of so many of the problems. But we'll get to that when we get to our final analysis. But it was pretty disappointing to see, even though I personally haven't reviewed a jazz match so far on the channel. I still recognize that at still a pretty big deal in ECW. But yeah, unfortunately, the crowd and even Jim Ross couldn't be bothered. Jim Ross tries a little bit, but it was mainly Paul Heyman having to do so much of the legwork, and that's pretty disappointing. But never mind that, because it's time for the main event. Winner takes all as the Alliance. Hence, that being Stone Cold Steve Austin, the WWF champion, Kurt Angle, Rob Van Dam, Booker T, and Shane McMahon battle Team WF, that being The Rock, Chris Jericho, The Undertaker, Kane, and The Big Show. Of course, this is the big winner takes all home match for control of the company. One legacy will die, and it's hyped up all throughout the show. We see, and even as we're going into the match, we see the locker rooms of both the Alliance and the WWF. The hype package shows the lead up to it here, and we see the various segments throughout the night of them preparing for this match. We see the dissension in the Alliance as Steve Austin, who returned a smile that Vince gave to him. And so now, because he returned a smile, well, surely that means he's working for the WWF. And then so everybody's freaking out. Austin tries to reassure, or there's tension between him, Kurt Angle, Booker T, RBD. The Alliance really needs to get it together. Austin reaffirms he's not a part of the WWF. Yeah, but Austin, you gotta admit, it looks kind of shady on your part, not returning Shane and Stephanie's phone calls, sharing smiles with Vince, and hence the fact that Vince and this was also part of it. Vince and saying that a member of the Alliance will defect back to the WWF of he or I guess an Alliance member will defect to the WWF. I feel like I almost kind of spoiled it there, but you could probably see where this is going. So it's caused some disarray in the Alliance camp. But eventually Shane and Stephanie try to reassure everyone. Stephanie is scared because she'll have to live a normal life. She'll have to shop for her own groceries, clean her house, do everything herself. Yeah, I get it. Billionaire's gonna billionaire, but uh, yeah, but Kurt Angle tries reassuring Stephanie, saying that he trusts Austin, he believes in Austin. Meanwhile, Shane reassures Booker T, saying Shane trusts Austin, that Austin's fully in on the Alliance. They're going to get the win. Meanwhile, Vince has a conversation with Linda, and I'm talking about these as they're happening one after like back to back, but really these are all throughout the show. Like I mentioned, Vince talked to Linda, saying that ish happens, and that and that's the nature of the business. He talks with Michael Cole, who does kind of an interview, saying that his 6 WF members will take out the 4 Alliance members, alluding to the mystery person who will help out the WF. But Vince saying he takes calculated risks, and that it's allowed him to pay off, that it's paid off for him before, and it'll allow him to win tonight, which he's entirely wrong about. Meanwhile, even before then, and Vince, and throughout the show, they really hammer home the importance that, and I will give them this, they really big up the importance of this match. Like, this match is a very big deal. All our jobs are on the line. I know one legacy is dying permanently. Like, they make a big deal about it, to the point where, or even before the match, Vince kind of gives a pep talk to his guys, brings up the names of the people who have legacies in the WF, such as he brings up like Andre the Giant, High Chief Pierre Maivia. He looks right at The Rock, obviously, when he does that. That's saying that the fate of the WWF is in their hands, and that if the WWF loses, all the members of Team WF will be career will be disgraced. Essentially, he pretty much saying if you lose, you're all gonna look like a bunch of freaking losers. And you will be and you pretty much almost won't have a career. So they show that importance throughout the night and through the hype packages, which I mentioned the opening hype package, but I also gotta include how they show the history of the WF throughout. They show like Hogan, they show Hyper, they show like Austin, Bret Hart, stuff like that. And so very, very big deal. And now getting into this match technically between the review of this match that I already did a couple years ago for the channel. I reviewed this match individually, like on its own, and then the three times I watched the event, and the first two times was for the purpose of review, but obviously I didn't review them at this time, and then watching it here for this review here right now. This is technically the fourth time I've watched this match. But I'm not complaining too much because this match is still really good. But it's a really solid match. Between both sides, one of the biggest criticisms of the Alliance storyline was lack of star power, especially on the Alliance side. But this is still some really pretty decent star power, even if most of it is technically WWF just on like the side of the Alliance. But still pretty good in that department. And the stories we see unfolding, including the tension between the other alliance members. The funniest part is like in the first eliminations, Big Show is eliminated first when all the alliance guys hit their finishers on Big Show. Because he's big to eliminate him. And then Shane McMahon is eliminated when all the members of the WF have hit Shane with their finishers, because he's annoying. Excuse me. Yeah, which was pretty funny. It is also worth mentioning Vince originally was supposed to be in this match. Vince was going to be on Team WF, and then Shane was going to be on Team Alliance. But Vince pulled out of the match. Big Show was substituted in, and so and he was eliminated first. So great to see it was worth it. But nevertheless, one by one, everybody gets eliminated until it's down to who Kurt Angle, Steve Austin, and then The Rock and Chris Jericho. And stuff has been fun all throughout. I just like the action, but I think once it's down to the final four, two on each side, Rock and Jericho for Team WF, and then Austin and Angle for the Alliance, that's when things really pick up. Because we do see the kind of rocky relationship between The Rock and Jericho, and we and see how they had to kind of trust each other even though they don't like each other. Her Angle taps out, so he's eliminated. And then Jericho gets eliminated by Austin, and then Jericho is like, "Well, I'm eliminated. Get time to screw over The Rock, I guess." So their team, so The Rock and Jericho's team, essentially breaks down when Jericho hits the breakdown on The Rock. It still wasn't called the breakdown just yet at this time. I guess because it was still kind of a new move, and I guess also because it was kind of short lived. But Jericho nails the breakdown on The Rock afterwards, and essentially kind of screws over, or in a way, WF. So, everybody in the Alliance locker room is celebrating. Everybody in the WF locker room is pissed. His Undertaker comes out and pretty much gets in Jericho's grill, like, "Hey, what the hell was that for?" But now it's down to The Rock and Austin. So I guess technically this is your real WrestleMania 17 rematch. But had Austin and Rock pretty good back and forth. I had to think that Kurt Angle tapped out to Rock's sharpshooter, all sharpshooters. Austin locks in another sharpshooter, which is slightly better than the one he does at Rebellion, except he gets up way earlier this time, so almost kind of kills it immediately. But it's also worth mentioning, I don't think I did mention it, but Rock is once again WCW World Champion, and he beat Jericho on, I believe, excuse me, I believe the um uh I believe it was the November 1st episode of Raw, if I'm not mistaken. Let me take a look here. I want to make sure I got that right. Uh, the very first episode of SmackDown, I should say. So, Rock is WCW World Champion once again, and I also learned in my research that Rock and Jericho were tag champions briefly, but lost it immediately back. Cool while it lasted, but yeah, so Jericho essentially screwed over The Rock, but The Rock still fights back against Austin, and Nick Patrick shows up and takes out Mike Chioda, who's the referee. So we got referees fighting again, and Rock goes to take out Nick Patrick. Austin and Rock trade finishers again, kind of similar to what they did at WrestleMania 17. So there's a callback. Eventually, Kurt Angle shows back up. He's got the championship. Also worth mentioning, kind of like I mentioned earlier, or Paul Heyman and Jim Ross arguing reached like an all-time high in this match. Admittedly, some of it is funny, but a lot of it is pretty annoying and pretty grating. I can't lie. But an Angle shows up with the championship. If you think he's going to hit Rock, but psych, he hits Austin. He was the undercover mole the whole time. Kurt Angle essentially screws over the Alliance. Rock picks up the win, and so Team WF wins. And the World Wrestling Federation is saved. I also forgot not to mention. I think it was at No Mercy. There was a sign with the panda being crossed out. I guess that fan saw the writing on the wall for what was going on between the World Wrestling Federation and the World Wildlife Fund. But yeah, so the Alliance is no more. We see the crash out from the Alliance locker room. Stephanie is literally crying. Meanwhile, the WF guys are celebrating. It's also worth mentioning from the moment Kurt Angle comes in, and from the moment Angle hits Austin with the championship, to the moment, and then I guess all throughout the rest of the night, Paul Heyman is silent since he is in stunned shock. The camera even pans over to him. Jim Ross is celebrating on commentary, but Paul Heyman just has like the shocked face. If I remember, I'll put a photo in the video here. So Nigel, note to yourself, put the photo right here. I probably put it earlier in the video, but or I will probably put it in once I go to edit this video. The WWF stays on top. The WWF legacy is saved. Yay! And the alliance essentially crumbles. Well, so really awesome match in terms of action, storytelling, all that. This match just had it all. It was a very fun match. A lot of people feel this is probably one of, if not the best Survivor Series traditional 5-on-5 matches of all time, and I am probably inclined to agree. Now, I haven't seen every traditional Survivor Series match, but this one was still really fun. It was great to go back and revisit. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this review. In terms of the strongest and weakest matches of the night, the strongest definitely the main event, and definitely a lot of fun. Honestly, if you don't watch anything else from the show, I would highly recommend the Team WF versus Team Alliance. That's partially why I reviewed it on its own some years ago. I believe it was back in 2023. As for the weakest, there are a few to choose from. You could go for the six-pack challenge. You could go for Regal to Jerry because that one is the shortest match of the night. I could see you probably going for the Immunity Battle Royal, but I guess take your pick. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this review. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And just one more review to go. Final analysis on Friday, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on those post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on this match, my review of the match, this event, Survivor Series 2001, and my review. Did you like my review? Did you like the event? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow with vengeance. Peace. All right. So, quick correction. I actually just realized that I do have to make this quick correction. The main referee, not Nick Patrick in the main event, was Earl Hebner, not Mike Chioda. I don't know why I said Mike Chioda. I think because he was in the show earlier, but yeah. Just wanted to make that correction. The main referee in the main event was Earl Hebner. Okay. Peace.